Hello, everybody. Thank you for pulling into the Palmetto Pitstop. My name is Adam. Just about an hour and a half now following the conclusion of the Homestead race. Figured we're gonna give something a little different. Give you more of a immediate reaction this week, especially considering my driver Bubba Wallace was right there at the end, and with not many laps to go, gave up the lead to Alex Bowman and never really got another shot at it. Figured it better to record while the emotions are still fresh. Can't blame the team. They brought a great car. Bubba Wallace's best career finish at Homestead. He brings it home, like I said, finishes in third. Led the second most amount of laps, just behind Ryan Blaney, who his bad season, or his luck this season, continues to bite him in the butt, leading 124 laps just for his engine to give out. Looked like he was probably going to be the car to beat, if not for Kyle Larson, who did end up winning the race. I can't imagine that this is going to be a pattern that we see for too much longer. I mean, at some point, Penske has to get it together. They have led so many laps this season, and just nothing to show for it as of yet for one reason or another. Still, defending champ, Joey Logano still looking for a top 10. He brought it home 14th today. He did get some stage points. In stage one, getting exactly one, but obviously not what that team's been looking for. They're just, I don't want to say they're scrambling because they're performing. However, it is very apparent that it is not showing. Did want to do a little bit of a recap from last week. I was very excited. Didn't get a chance to record a podcast last week where we record. A lot of construction going on, would have just been a lot of noise, so wasn't able to get a podcast out last week. So quick little recap, very proud to say a sort of I told you so moment with Josh Berry. I just knew it was going to happen at some point. I think he fits that for that Wood Brothers team really well, that whole personality. I didn't think it would happen so soon. I thought it would be somewhere down the line, and like other people thought it might be on a short track where he really, cut his teeth coming up. But, yeah, Josh Berry, very much a late but still deserved congratulations for winning at Vegas, a very exciting race there. The 1.5 miles continue to be the most entertaining cars or tracks on the circuit. We saw the same today at Homestead, though, much quieter. Not a lot of action today, at least in terms of chaos. Very organic race, not any controversy. We're now 6 races into the season without anybody seriously getting upset. I mean, you have that finish at Atlanta, but I think that one's explained pretty well. They made the right call. I don't think anyone is still upset about that, but, who knows. Kyle Larson, like I mentioned, did manage to steal the win today. Not in very Kyle Larson fashion. He normally dominates these races and then something goes wrong. Reverse today, he kept hitting the wall, but it didn't matter because he can, put that thing right up against it for the most part, and that's how he cruised away to victory. Alex Bowman was the one who really paid the price there. When he had the shot to at least battle Kyle Larson, make him earn it. He just buckled, hit the wall really hard, smoked it up a little bit, and well, that was that. There was no real race for the win. It was just Larson was there, and then he was gone. And then, of course, going back to the reason why I wanted to record this immediately after the race, Bubba Wallace. I mean, at some point, I know it's going to be different for how everyone looks at this, and I'm sure tomorrow I'll look at this differently, which is why I wanted to record today. A top 3 with a stage 2 fifth place in stage 2. It's good points day. He jumped up to, I believe, 7th in the point standings at the moment. He's doing very, very well to get stage points, and While he couldn't get it in stage 1, obviously a good finish and a good stage 2 helped kind of offset that. Man. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. I know Bubba probably, I'm sure he shares similar sentiments. It is great that he is in contention to be battling for these wins at these quote unquote cookie cutter tracks, even though, obviously Homestead isn't a cookie cutter 1.5 like, Vegas or Atlanta or Texas and stuff like that. But it is a more traditional 1.5-mile track. It is just he has shown such improvement this year. I said it at the end of last season that his team just needs to start taking these races at the beginning of the year seriously, and it seems like that's what they're doing. Taking strategy at Coda to just win a stage and get stage points when you're probably not going to finish well. And then at the super speedways always being up there. And outside of Phoenix, I'm pretty sure he has gotten stage points in just about every other race this year. Just wasn't all there at Phoenix. And then, of course, at Vegas, just wrong place, wrong time. With that spin in front of him. And then, again, top 5 car there. Potentially a similar situation at where he was at Homestead. A really good finish in the books for him before that damage happened and he falls away. But back to today, he took the lead. And his restarts were fantastic. He would just jump out to like a second and a half lead over second place, no matter who it was. And I don't like when my driver's not involved. Obviously, I don't want cautions to come out late in the race to kind of bunch everything up and pave the way for chaos. But man, I was being a real fan today. I was really hoping for that late restart, something like 10 laps to go. Bubba, he comes down. Get some tires and just jumps out, and I don't think 10 laps would have been enough for anyone to catch him, and he would have broke that losing streak over 80 races now, as they mentioned on the broadcast today. He was able to get the fastest lap, so that's another bonus point. He's up to, like I said, up to 7th, a gain of, I believe, 4 positions. Man, it's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. And I know tomorrow I'm going to be happy with the points, and I'll be happy with a top 5 and, going to Martinsville, and that'll be it. That'll be that. But it is just so gut-wrenching as a fan. I think I don't want to obviously put my own opinions above a driver, because obviously they're the ones racing, and I'm not, and every fan's experience is different, but my fanhood for Bubba is relatively new, relatively recent, I would say. So I think I mentioned it before. I was a big Tony Stewart fan when I was growing up watching the sport, and was a Tony Stewart fan all the way through to 2016 when he retired. And then after that, I didn't have a driver. I tried to get into certain other drivers, tried to root for them. Funnily enough, I was a Kyle Larson fan at one point, and then that fell away. Martin Truex fan for a little while, that fell away. Things just, even tried to root for a driver that my family was really liked. My mom is a Denny Hamlin fan. My dad was a Kyle Busch fan. I tried to root for them, but it just didn't feel natural, so to speak. It just didn't. I didn't have that emotional attachment to them. And I do still root for those drivers, but they are definitely not my guys. And then when I got back into racing in 2022, it was kind of spotty. I would watch a race here and there, didn't watch every single week. And then when I came back around, I think it was like, what did I watch? I got back into racing, watching every single week, and I haven't missed a week since, was the Martinsville, the Hail Melon race. And then I didn't really decide on Bubba as a driver until probably a few weeks into 2023. I think it was probably around summer-ish. No, it wasn't that late, because I was rooting for him plenty by then. It was probably around, like, I'll say April, and then that's when I kind of zeroed in on Bubba Wallace. And since then, was happy to watch him make the playoffs in 2023. And then he almost had that win at Texas, but I wasn't able to really watch it. I was keeping up with it, but I was out at that point, so I wasn't able to watch the race, and was just getting the updates and trying to stream it when I could, but the reception was pretty terrible where I was. So I didn't get to watch it, so I didn't watch him ultimately give up the race that not only would have ended his dry streak, but also would have punched his ticket to the next round. He ultimately ended up getting eliminated, which, of course, sucks. And then last year, just watching a whole bunch of opportunities go down the toilet, watching the race that sticks out the most is Richmond, where if he just hangs on, he'll have a good finish. And even if he can't hang on and that caution comes out, if his team just gives him a good stop, he gets back on the track and goes about it and tries to get a really good restart. And ultimately, the restart, or on pit road, he gets stuck on the jack, I believe, and falls to 17th, can't pick up any spots, and throws away a top 5 finish. And it was just a lot of that last year. It was super frustrating. The crews just kept making mistakes, and he kept making mistakes at points too. Oh, wait, I do remember. I was a fan before the Talladega race of Bubba Wallace, because I remember cheering for him and being upset when he crashed out of that Talladega race. So, but I wasn't as, like, diehard of a fan yet. So it was probably around this time, I'd say. So, like, March-ish, I was starting to zero in on Bubba Wallace, but he was not my go-to guy just yet. Anyway, just last year was a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda. So many opportunities that just got thrown to the wind because of mistakes one way or another. Had the opportunities, didn't capitalize, or made a mistake, and slow pit road, slow pit stops, not making adjustments. When I went to the Southern 500, the cutoff race last year, and Bubba started on pole, he was leading all those laps. I was convinced, like, this is it. I'm going to watch I never watched my favorite driver win in person. The one race, because we grew up in the Poconos, and we went to mostly every single race up there between when I got into NASCAR and then when I eventually left to go to college. We went to almost every race, and then the one year we didn't was 2009. We didn't go to the June race, and of course, just because that's just how fate works sometimes, Tony Stewart ended up winning the one race I didn't go to. And then that was, of course, his last career win at Pocono, which stings to this day, almost 20 years later. It still sucks. That was my only chance to really see Tony Stewart win in person, and I missed it. And then when we went to Darlington, I was watching Bubba lead those first couple dozen laps and thought, he might have this. He has a really good car. And then as the sun went down, the team just wasn't making the right adjustments, and ultimately, that crash towards the end that he got caught up and sealed his fate, and that was that for his playoff chances. And then this year, it seems like he's had opportunities to be there, but it just doesn't matter. Daytona, I thought he was up front all day, and then just gets shuffled back, wrong place, wrong time, and there goes that. He was wrong place, wrong time last week, where, again, should have had a top 5 car. Your brake rotor fails at Phoenix. That's life. There's nothing you can really do about that. It's just a lot of it builds up, and it gets frustrating. And as a driver, I'm sure it's magnified a million times more than just your normal fan, especially a guy who, at least in my case, I'm a relatively new fan for Bubba Wallace, and still, it really, really sucks to watch a guy to keep an eye on him all race and know what he has and know that he has a chance and could win it if everything goes his way, and then sometimes he'll make a mistake, like at Talladega, where he just throws a block, and he kind of had to throw the block, but it was probably never going to work. And then you have situations like Texas where he probably should win, but then There's a late restart, and the one time he doesn't get a good restart is the one time it matters, and gives that win to William Byron. You have the races like Richmond where just something out of your hands, not even on the driver, where it missed a mistake, and then Southern 500, wrong place, wrong time, not able to get that speed he had at the beginning. And then, of course, today, when it is very, very frustrating. And I said it earlier, tomorrow I'll be happy with the top 3 and be happy that Bubba's now in 7th in points and well above the cut line. Granted, talking about the cut line in March is meaningless. It's like talking about preseason top 25s in college football. So much can happen in these next few months. I mean, Bubba could end up being in victory lane, and he doesn't have to worry about points for a little bit. And it's trending that way. He's had speed. We saw it with Josh Berry. He just needed to bide his time and make the right calls, make the right adjustments, and be there at the end. And Bubba Wallace today, he made the right calls, made the right adjustments, and he was there at the end. But sometimes, even the best adjustments you make to your car and the best lines you can get, it's just sometimes people faster. We go to Martinsville next week. Bubba wasn't great there in the fall last year, of course, part of that whole debacle with Christopher Bell and William Byron, but did break up the Hendrick top 5 in the spring, so maybe a chance there for him to, if not win, get some points, just keep himself well above the cut line as long as he can. It is just a very, very annoying thing to keep waiting for that, just keep wondering when that's going to happen, because, personally, as I look up the schedule here and see what the upcoming tracks are, personally, I haven't watched my driver win since 2016. Haven't watched a driver I root for win since 2016. And obviously now there's going to be the 9th year if he does go winless, 9th year that I won't have watched. So it gets a little frustrating. That win at the duels was invigorating because it was the first time I could root for my guy to be in victory lane, even if it doesn't count, or it's not an official race. It paid out points, but not. It wasn't a race, a full race. So then looking ahead. Obviously just came out of Miami. Martinsville, Darlington could get wins there. Bristol, I'm not too sure historically where he's run at Bristol. I would have to look at averages. Bristol kind of is like a black hole in my mind. These last few races haven't been good at Bristol. So I kind of just forget them. And then, of course, Talladega, Texas, Kansas. Talladega and Kansas, of course, where Bubba Wallace has won in the past. His 2 career wins being at Talladega and Kansas and being a very good super speedway racer. Very good drafting racer. And then Texas, of course, like I mentioned, he had that race in the 2023 playoffs where he should have won, could have won, but ultimately wasn't able to get the restart he needed late in the race and gave it away. So tracks are coming up that he's good at. He had a top 5 at the Coke 600 a few years back. And then we get into that summer set, and I remember him running really well at Michigan last fall, and he again, that was another race he probably could have won, and then just I think he got dinged by Chase Elliott, was it, spinning, or Denny Hamlin spinning? I can't remember. But then that just wiped away all the speed. I'm really looking forward now. I'm all the way in June, but it's just I think with the way this team is now, they're showing that they are much better this year, the pit crew and the cars, because Bubba has the speed and Bubba has made the right decisions. I haven't seen something where Bubba has done something. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what kind of move was that? I wouldn't have done that, or you should have done this instead. He's been making the right moves. He's been making the right adjustments, and the team, I have to give him a lot of credit. It feels like it's a brand new team almost. They are really helping him out. They kept him ahead of the game on all these pit cycles, And hopefully, if you just keep doing that, something's going to go your way. It has to eventually, right? At least that's what I'm going to be I'm going to keep telling myself that. And these tracks coming up, especially Darlington and Texas and Kansas, that's going to be really where you're going to need that. I think if I had to choose out of these next few where I think Bubba could win, I think I would say Kansas. I would circle that one as an early prediction. If, like I said, if I had to choose one of these, I would say Kansas is kind of the one I'm looking at. It is just so frustrating. I don't know how to properly put it in words, and I know I probably should learn how to put it in words. But I'm just... after the race ended, I just kind of fell silent for I think 30 minutes. I just didn't say a word and just kind of laid out on the couch. It tears your heart out sometimes, rooting for these guys. Because once he took the lead with 100 to go, around there, I think it was 100 to go, I had a good feeling. It was okay, he's in a good spot. And then it went to 90, and then 80, and then 70. And then it was 50 to go, and Bowman starts putting pressure on him. And it's oh, man, he has a lot of time left, and Bowman is looking good. And the inevitable happened. He just ran out of that advantage. His car was not better on the long runs like Bowman and Larson were. And Larson finally getting that first win of the season, breaking up the B chain, which sucks because Bubba could have kept that B chain going. I know it was B's in the last name that were winning, but not this week. It goes to Kyle Larson and Bowman and Bubba, the two Bs that would have kept it going, left to watch him scoot ahead. Some other guys that I think deserve a little bit of a shout out this week. Denny Hamlin. We're starting to get an idea that, he is going to be pretty good this year. He's not out of it yet. Just a few troubled tracks for him to start the year. Should have been probably either a Daytona 500 winner or champion, or Daytona 500 winner or runner-up. At least a top 5. Atlanta, again, it's a drafting track, hard to tell. But now in his new progressive scheme, reigning top 5, he was a little slow earlier in the race, but didn't matter. He came back up. Chase Briscoe, a top 5, really expecting a lot out of him this year. Chris Buescher had a quietly good day, sitting in 6th. He did not get any stage points, but ultimately bringing home in the top 10. AJ Allmendinger, somehow, that I shouldn't say somehow. AJ Allmendinger is quietly the best average runner on Homestead in this next-gen car. Tyler Reddick, 2311, having a pretty good day with 2 drivers in the top 10. Ryan Preece here to stay, it seems, showing a lot of talent in that 60 car at RFK, finishing 9th. And Zane Smith, read the line wrong. Justin Haley with the top 10. A little surprise where his teammate Carson Hocevar looked like he had a fast car, got stage points in stage 2, and then his engine just gave out. Same thing with Ryan Blaney, running really well. Probably should have won the race, but obviously that's just not how things work in NASCAR. It's the most unpredictable sport on earth, I feel. Shane Van Gisbergen continues to struggle on these ovals, but I think he still needs another year or 2 in Cups on ovals before we're expecting a lot more out of him there. Ross Chastain, RFK, not RFK, Trackhouse has just not been on it so far on these ovals. Ross Chastain, Shane Van Gisbergen, and where did Daniel Suarez finished 22nd. So their best driver was 22nd today. Kyle Busch, a whole lot of nothing from him. Cindric, Elliott, same kind of thing, same deal. Elliott did get some stage points, but ultimately, I believe he was the worst finishing Hendrick car. He was 9th. Byron brought it home. Where did Byron brought it home in 12th, despite having stage points, but that kind of offset, and he remains the point leader with, I believe, Larson. Yes, Larson has taken over the mantle at 2, and it is a 1-2-3 for Hendrick right now. William Byron, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman as your top 3 in points. Then it goes Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin. So 23-11, Joe Gibbs and Hendrick taking up the top 8. And then you got 4 straight Fords of Busher, Blaney, Logano, Berry. So an interesting points lineup for sure. But again, it is still so early in the season that anything can happen. Any of these guys, obviously. Hocevar does not deserve to be in 27th in points, but he just keeps getting the short end of the stick. Ty Gibbs has continued to just be in hell. He finished... Where did Ty Gibbs finish today? Ty Gibbs finished 25th. I just slapped the desk. I don't want to say that's his best finish of the year, but I am going to look it up. 2025 results. Where are you, Ty Gibbs? Okay, these are not the stats that I'm looking for. Oh, wait. Can I get them there? That is not what I wanted. Okay. ESPN, can you save me? You can. Okay, so right now, as Ty Gibbs stands, his finishes have gone... Okay, it was not. His best finish was at the Daytona 500 at 16th. Wow, that is not great. So he went Daytona 500 16th, Atlanta 32nd, Coda 34, Phoenix 25, Vegas 22, Miami 25. So just not able to do really anything, which is a shame because obviously Denny Hamlin, he's finding his rhythm. Chase Briscoe finding his rhythm. Christopher Bell, of course, the most wins on the season thus far with 3 in a row. Ty Gibbs just in the back right now, not doing much of anything. I really don't know what the issue is. I don't know if they're making the right calls over there. I'll be honest, I haven't been paying too much attention to him. I would really have to study what's going on there. But for next week, woof. You just woof is all I have to say. Ty Gibbs, the black sheep right now at Joe Gibbs. You really do hope that they start to get it together because I had such high hopes after 2023. I thought he would have won his first race by now, and I saw an interesting stat that he's coming up on J.J. Yealy for the most wins in a Joe Gibbs car without a win, which is a very interesting stat to say the least. Excuse me. But, man. Anyway, as we now look forward to next week at Martinsville, I'm going to go ahead and just get right to the predictions because it's going to be a pretty easy sweep, at least in my opinion. I'm going to go not at all suspicious. I shouldn't say suspicious. I'm going to go very safe with my picks. I think William Byron, Alex Bowman, and Christopher Bell. I just don't think anything crazy is going to happen, even with what the racing we've seen the last time we were at Martinsville. Obviously, this is a much different situation where we're not racing for a spot in the championship 4. However, I think it'll be a very cookie-cutter race. We've been kind of gifted with a lot of good races early this season, and I think we're due for we're due for one. I don't want to say bring us back down to earth, but one that's just like, okay, that was an average race. Homestead, kind of the same thing. It was exciting, but overall, nothing crazy happened. And you don't need chaos to dictate a good race, but I don't think Martinsville's going to be nuts. So just make sure to come back to this next week when it is probably the craziest Martinsville race we've ever seen, just because I said that. But once again, I didn't end up making any predictions for Homestead, but I think if I had made predictions for Homestead, I would have said Blaney, Reddick, and probably Bell. So nothing crazy there. I wouldn't have gotten it right, but I will take my 2 predictions right so far this year on the Bell victories. So Yeah, looking forward to Martinsville. Again, I know this was a very Bubba-centric episode, but I felt it was an appropriate approach to take the first time the first time we've ever put out an episode right after the race happened, or even recorded it right after race happened, because we tend to wait until about Wednesday to let the dust settle and we get a good view in the future, the upcoming race, see if any disciplinary action has been taken for suspensions or anything. But it was a quiet race, nothing crazy, nothing insane. I'm gonna just do one last quick check of Twitter just to see if anything crazy has happened in the meantime since I've been recording. But other than that, excuse me, I think we're just about ready here. Thank you guys so much for watching, or I should say listening. Again, Kyle Larson, your winner. Breaks up the killer bees that were going on this season. We'll see you after Martinsville. Thank you again, and make sure, I know it's been a little sparse just because of scheduling, but still be looking or keeping an eye on us for some March Madness stuff on YouTube once we can get our schedules back aligned and Tony and I can get back to recording together. But again, thank you. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow our little social media down in the description. Once again, this has been the Palmetto Pitstop here on the Northern South Podcast Network. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.